Hello, Miss Knapp's third grade class. I'm so happy to be back with you. Miss Knapp told me you're a great class and you've already done all of the Joan of Art videos already. So today I'm delighted to introduce you to one of my favorite artists. I know they all are, but I love Faith Ringgold. And she's an artist who's still alive today. She's 90 years old. And with me today, I have Jones, who's in fourth grade, and he's going to be our student for the day. And doing the camera work, you can't see her, but it's his older sister, Lila. And Lila, thank you so much for doing the camera work today. So let's get to Faith Ringgold. And one of the reasons I love her, especially for kids, is that she not only did great work for adults, but she wrote a lot of children's books, and we're going to be looking at her very famous award-winning book called Tar Beach and doing an art project based on that. So, Faith Ringgold, let's see who she is. Faith Ringgold. Faith Ringgold, can you see this, Lila? See if you can get in close. Look at her, she looks so majestic and beautiful. Do you see her?
Yeah.
Yeah, with her braids. Faith Ringgold was born in New York City in 1930. She grew up during a time of a lot of prejudice and discrimination in the United States. When she became a professional artist, Faith fought hard to make sure that African American artists received the attention and respect they deserved. Now, one thing I want to tell you kids is 2 years ago at the Art Museum in Santa Rosa, the Sonoma Art Museum, we had an exhibit of Faith Ringgold's original work. Pretty exciting. Faith Ringgold is known for her paintings, prints, masks, and soft sculptures. These works of art often show her feelings about being an African American woman. Her most famous works are her story quilts. Faith makes the quilts by sewing together painted canvas and quilted fabric. Then she adds handwritten stories. And this tradition of story quilts started back in Africa. And when the Africans came over here and became slaves, they made these quilts. With her story quilts, you get to see some great pictures and read about them at the same time. So they're with images and with words. So it's a quilt that shows a story and tells a story written in English. Faith Ringgold was born Faith Jones. She grew up in a section of New York City called Harlem. In the early 1900s, thousands of African Americans from southern states had moved to Harlem to find jobs and a better life. Many great jazz musicians, singers, athletes, authors, and artists lived in Harlem during the 1930s. Here she is as a little girl. On hot summer nights, Faith's family and neighbors would go up to the roof of their apartment buildings to cool off. Because the roof was covered with tar paper, everyone called it Tar Beach. They pretended it was a beach on the roof. And you'll see that's the book we're going to read. It's called Tar Beach. At night, Faith loved to look up at the sky at all the stars. Do you see the stars in that quilt? Yeah. She could see her favorite bridge, the George Washington Bridge, all lit up. One of her most famous story quilts is about the magic she felt on those hot summer evenings. And I think this is the image that gave Jones the idea when we do our project today. What are you going to put in it?
I am going to be flying over the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We're going to do a project where we fly today. So, storytelling was always an important part of Faith's life. When she was a little girl, Faith stayed up late listening to her parents, aunts, and uncles tell stories about their family history. She learned a lot, and it was great fun. Now, before people had TVs in their homes, storytelling and listening to the radio were major forms of entertainment. Faith and her brother and sister loved listening to radio shows. They let their imaginations run wild. And when Faith was little, guess what? She thought there were people inside the box, singing the songs, acting, and talking. That's so funny. When I was little, I think I thought there were little people in the TV set. Faith spent a lot of her childhood at home. She was often sick. Sounds like Frida Kahlo. But she had asthma. When Faith had asthma, she had trouble breathing during an asthma attack. During periods when she was sick, her mother, Willie, schooled her at home. Faith also spent lots of time drawing and coloring. Willie, her mom, taught her how to sew also. Faith made all kinds of neat things, shoes, purses, even underwear. On days when she was feeling better, her mom would take her to museums and stage performances while her brothers were at school. As an adult, she didn't remember much about her early years, but she would never forget the jazz shows she saw at the theater as a child. Jazz is an exciting style of music. Have you ever heard jazz music? Yeah, it's a cool kind of music, and it was originated by African Americans. Faith thought the lively shows were art even more than paintings and sculptures were. Here's a picture she did of jazz, of the jazz musicians. Do you see? I love the colors in that, the blues and the reds, they're so vibrant. Later, she would paint and make prints of jazz musicians and singers. These pictures are so colorful and full of life, you can almost hear the jazz music when you look at them. Even though she was interested in art, she didn't take art classes in school, but she practiced at home. She did portraits of friends and family. And when she went to the City College of New York, she studied education and art. But it was in college that she decided to become a serious full-time artist. One day, her professor insulted her. He actually said to her, can you label those as mountains so I can tell what they are? And he told her he didn't think she had the talent to become an artist. That was all she needed to hear. She said then and there she's going to show that professor that she would be an artist. So sometimes it's when people tell you you can't do something that you persevere and you decide you're going to do it anyway. So here she is, grown up. During college, she married her high school sweetheart, Earl Wallace. They had 2 daughters, Michelle and Barbara. Here she is with her daughters. And when she graduated, she got a job as an art teacher in New York City public school. And it wasn't an easy start for a young woman. And then her marriage didn't work out, and after 4 years, she got separated. She had to figure out how to raise 2 small children, work as an art teacher, and continue her education, and find a way to be a full-time artist. Fortunately, she got a lot of help from her mom, Willie. Her mom was always encouraging her. Then she fell in love with a man named Ringgold. That's how she got the name Ringgold. She married him. That was a great marriage. They got married in 1962. Now that Faith had more help taking care of her daughters, she got busy at her art. During her college years, she had learned about the great European artists. Some we've studied, like Vincent van Gogh, Pablo Picasso, and Leonardo da Vinci. We will do a program on Leonardo. Faith's first paintings were influenced by those old masters. Even though she appreciated and learned important lessons from European art, it didn't have much to do with her experiences. So Faith started doing paintings more meaningful to her, things going on in the United States, things African Americans would be interested in, especially the women. She took what she learned in school and combined it with discoveries she had made about African art. Can you see some of the modern art she did of African American women? Faith studied and copied patterns, shapes, rhythms, and colors used in African art. She also became inspired by great African American artists like Jacob Lawrence. We have one of those in my house. We might look at it later. She also began to add these ideas to her paintings. She was beginning to feel good about her art discoveries. Now she had to find a way to get her paintings noticed. In the 60s, people who owned galleries or ran art museums didn't think anybody cared about artwork done by Black women. Isn't that, it's ridiculous, but that's how it was back then. But she definitely didn't agree. She began showing her work to art dealers all over New York, and she even helped organize protests in front of New York City art museums when they ignored Black artists. The protests helped to get museum people interested in African American artists. Over time, Faith Ringgold and her work began to get noticed. By 1973, she was selling enough paintings to be able to follow her dream of becoming a full-time artist. So that's when she was 43 years old. It took a lot of time and perseverance for her to get to that point. She discovered something interesting while on a trip to Europe that made it easier to show her work around. She saw an exhibition of ancient paintings from Tibet that were framed in cloth. These Tibetan cloth frames are called tankas. Faith thought tankas would look great on her paintings. So she could forget about heavy wooden frames and glass. Tankas allowed her to fold or roll up her paintings. This made it much easier and less expensive to ship her work to art galleries and art shows. She was very inventive. Oh, here she is at work. Do you see her at work? On the quilts.
Yeah.
Faith's mother, Willie, sometimes helped her daughter make tankas. Willie was perfect for the job. She had become a well-known fashion designer in Harlem and really knew how to sew. Faith had loved sewing from the time she was a little girl. It wasn't long before she used her sewing skills to create her famous quilts. Quilt making is an African American tradition. In the 1800s, slave women would make quilts for their owners. They often added colorful shapes and designs that came from their African past. Faith loved writing stories along with her quilt paintings. Writing was just as important to her as painting and sculpting. It's much easier to see a real Faith Ringgold quilt than a picture of one. It's interesting to see how she stitched pieces of painted canvas together and made her cloth frames. It's fun to read the stories on the quilts too. If you can't find a real one, you can check out her beautifully illustrated children's books. And I just happen to have one that I'll read to you today. A great example is her first book, Tar Beach. This is it. It tells the story of Cassie Lightfoot, the main character from the Tar Beach story quilts. This is one of my favorites. It shows some black children going to an art museum. Can you see? And studying the pictures.
Yeah.
I love that. It tells a whole story. That one doesn't even have words, and it shows them really getting excited about the art. Faith also used her knowledge of African art when she created her mask series and soft sculptures. Once again, Faith combined African designs, fabric, and beads to create remarkable three-dimensional work. Faith Ringgold has worked hard to make her dream of becoming a full-time artist come true. Today, her artwork is seen in museums, on walls of public buildings all over the United States. She has proven in her own life that if someone really, really wants to do something, they can. She believes that just like Cassie Lightfoot, the little girl in the Tar Beach story, anyone can fly. Yay! And I want to show you at the back of this book, you can see her today. Can you see this? This is Faith Ringgold, and she's Faith Ringgold, and she's also a professor at one of the universities in Southern California. So let's go right into Tar Beach, and then we'll do our art project based on Tar Beach and us flying where we want to go. Tar Beach. She dedicated this book to her mother. Remember Willie, who was so nice to her when she was homesick, and then later when she got into art? She did the art and she did the illustrations and the writing for this book. And this book won the Caldecott Prize. That's the highest level prize children's literature can be given. And you see it says Caldecott? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is an award-winning book. I will always remember when the stars fell down around me and lifted me above the George Washington Bridge. Here's the little girl flying above the bridge. I could see our tiny rooftop with Mommy and Daddy and Mr. and Mrs. Honey, our next-door neighbors, still playing cards as if nothing was going on. And BB, my baby brother, lying real still on the mattress, just like I told him to, his eyes like huge floodlights tracking me through the sky. So these are actual paintings that were made into these illustrations. Sleeping on Tar Beach was magical. Lying on the roof in the night with stars and skyscraper buildings all around me made me feel rich, like I owned all I could see. The bridge was my most prized possession. So that's funny that you decided you wanted to do a bridge, even though this is on the East Coast in New York and you're on the West Coast in California, but you picked the bridge that's here, the Golden Gate, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Daddy said that George Washington Bridge is the largest and most beautiful bridge, longest and most beautiful bridge in the world, and that it opened in 1931 on the very day I was born. Daddy worked on that bridge, hoisting cables. Since then, I've wanted that bridge to be mine. Now I have claimed it. All I had to do was fly over it for it to be mine. I can wear it like a giant diamond necklace. Do you see why she thought it looked like a diamond necklace?
Because she's flying under the bridge and it's like on touching her shoulders.
Yeah, and it looks like those are diamonds, the lights on the bridge. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool. She said, yes, I can fly, me, Cassie Louise Lightfoot, only 8 years old in 3rd grade like you guys are, and I can fly. That means I'm free to go wherever I want to go all my life. Daddy took me to see the new Union building he's working on. He can walk on steel girders high up in the sky and not fall. They call him the cat, but that's very dangerous work. But still he can't join the Union because Grandpa wasn't a member. Well, Daddy is going to own that building because I'm going to fly over it and give it to him. Then it won't matter that he's not in their old union or whether he's colored or a half-breed Indian like they say. That's back in the day when people were very prejudiced. He'll be rich and won't have to stand on 24-story high girders and look down. He can look at his building going up. And Mommy won't cry all winter when he goes to look for work and doesn't come home. See how the family looks sad because their dad doesn't have work, which means he can't make money, and then it's hard to pay the rent and buy food and everything. And Mommy can laugh and sleep late like Mrs. Honey. And we can have ice cream every night for dessert. Yay, let's have ice cream tonight for dessert. Yay. Next, I'm going to fly over the ice cream factory just to make sure we do have ice cream every night. Isn't that funny? This is where she's flying now, over the ice cream factory. Tonight, we're going up to Tar Beach. Remember, that's the top of their roof. Mommy is roasting peanuts and frying chicken, and Daddy will bring home a watermelon. Mr. and Mrs. Honey will bring the beer and their old green card table, and then the stars will fall around me, and I will fly to the Union Building. Do you see all the colors, bright colors she uses?
Yeah.
So even though the story has sad parts, she's very optimistic and positive. I'll take BB, that's her little brother, with me. He has threatened to tell Mommy and Daddy if I leave him behind. So here she is in the sky flying with her little brother BB. It's cute. I have told him it's very easy. Anyone can fly. All you need is somewhere to go that you can't get to any other way. The next thing you know, you're flying among the stars, and here they are. David, could you turn that off? We're filming. Yeah. Okay. Now let's get to the art project, okay?
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay. This way. Why don't you go first? Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Now,
Hi, Zoe.
we're going to fly too. I've cut out these nice figures. Hold yours up too, Jones. We've cut out these nice figures. This one is Joan. This one is
Jones.
We're going to place them on a piece of paper, have a nice piece of white paper ready, and think about a beautiful setting that you want to fly over. I've decided I'm flying over the beaches of Hawaii, and Jones is flying over
The Golden Gate Bridge.
the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. So what we've already done is we've thought through the colors we're going to need. What colors do you need to do your bridge?
I picked like a orangish reddish color for the surrounding of the bridge, and then I picked yellow as the lights on the bridge. I picked black for the buildings on the outside and for the street.
And what about for the outline of the bridge? Maybe for the
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I picked blue for the ocean and the sky. And then I picked gray for the sidewalk and the sidewalk.
And what I picked is some browns for the beach, and then I picked blues, different color blues for the ocean, and then I picked also the browns. I want to do some palm trees, and I want to do leaves of the palm, and then also some bushes with a beautiful plumeria pink, orangey red flowers. So do you want to show them how you're going to are you going to first do it with pencil?
Yeah.
Okay. I am too. I think we'll end here though, because what we want to do is show the children this is how we get ready. I know you have a set of oil pastels too, and your teacher will give you a cutout. So this will be you, and you're thinking about what do you want to fly over. In past years, well, in the book we had them fly over the ice cream factory or
Yeah.
candy factory. Some children wanted to fly over the soccer field. Some kids wanted to fly over a movie theater. I'm in the ocean. Some people wanted to be in the forest. Some wanted to be at their grandparents' house. So you decide what you want to fly over, and we're going to get going with our art project now. Thank you for filming, Lila. See you all next time with Joan of Art.